Associate Professor of Radiology at Universidad Autónoma, also in Madrid. Welcome, Cristina.
Thank you for the kind introduction. First of all, I want to thank the organization, the opportunity to be here today. It's my pleasure. I have nothing to disclose. Like in many other areas of the human activity in the last decades, medicine has seen a constant increase in the digitalization of the information generated during clinical routine. And as more medical data become available in digital format, new and always more sophisticated software were developed to analyze them. In medicine, exist several ways to extract big data, like the well-known films of genomics and proteomics, and as radiology has been used increasingly in this way, it generates a new omics cluster to itself. It's called radiomics. In the last 10 years, publications in this field have grown exponentially, and radiologists must be familiarized with the term and the potential utilities. During the next 20 minutes, we will talk about radiomics. In the first part, I will describe the radiomic and radiogenomic approaches in neuro-oncology, and in the second part, I will focus on the applications. When we hear about radiomics, we might think that this is science fiction, but it uses the same sources, which are images, and it persists the same purpose. As the already classical paper published in 2016 in the journal Radiology defined it, images are more than pictures, they are data. And radiomics refers to the computerized extraction of quantifiable data from radiological images using several data characterization algorithms. The extraction of this data creates minimal databases, and it has a potential role in diagnosis, prognosis, and even the evaluation of the response to certain therapies. One of the advantages with developing and implementing radiomics is that they use imaging studies that are routinely acquired during the clinical protocol, and hence it doesn't disrupt the existing clinical workflows. Radiomics in neuro-oncology seeks to improve the understanding of the biology in brain tumors. And why is this important? For the past decades, several discoveries in genetics and epigenetics have changed the classification of the tumors and the grading system, as we have just here in the previous lecture. And the latest WHO CNS tumor classification places great emphasis on molecular markers, as genetic mutation can determine the aggressiveness of the tumor and have been shown to be associated with a lesion's growth pattern and response to therapy. Radiomic features, as we will see during the talk, have been shown to identify genomic alteration within tumor DNA and RNA. And the integrated study of the data extracted from radiological images and the genomic scales is termed radiogenomics. The radiomics approach is a multi-step process. The process begins with the image acquisition. Diagnosis and treatment response assessment in neuro-oncology is currently investigated multiparametric MRI using at least T1 with and without contrast, T2 and FLAIR sequences. And in addition to the qualitative or semi-quantitative assessment of these images, quantitative data can be extracted. Modern imaging units allow for a wide variation in acquisition and image reconstruction protocols, and it's very difficult to standardize these protocols across institutions. So in general, when you are interpreting radiological findings, this is not a problem. But when images are analyzed numerically to extract data, this variation in the protocols can introduce changes that are not due to underlying biological effect. Therefore, the pre-processing step is key to obtain accurate and comparable data. One of the advantages is that this step is executed after the image is acquired, and this has a role in the retrospective radiomic analysis. Next, the region of interest is identified and segmented, either manually or automatically. T2 and T2 FLAIR sequence are used to define the edema, and the necrosis and the enhancing tumor are delineated on T1 with contrast. The tumor habitat consists in the three subcompartments of the tumor: the enhancing tumor, the necrotic area, and the peritumoral edema. Now the features of each subcompartment can be extracted. The features are extracted for radiomic analysis via algorithms that capture tumor heterogeneity across local pixel neighborhoods within an image, and these are the main categories. These categories can be divided into groups, the semantic and the non-semantic. The semantic features are the qualitative characteristics proposed by radiologists to define the tumor environment. These characteristics cannot be defined with sufficient mathematical expression, but they are useful in clinical setting and also in the radiomic studies. One of the examples of the neoradiomics is the Vasari project by the Cancer Imaging Archive. They propose a feature set to describe the brain tumor environment using a controlled vocabulary. Several studies have shown that they are highly reproducible and provide meaningful guidance in glioblastomas. Regarding the non-semantic features, one of the main groups are the morphological. They quantify the topology of the lesion induced by the proliferation boundaries. They can be divided into global, referring to the contour, and local in relation to the surface curvature attributes. The next group are the textural. This group directly captures the heterogeneity of the tumors, and they can be divided into structural, statistical, and a combination of both. And the last group are the functional biomarkers. One of the main obstacles to the clinical adoption of the classical radiomic features is its low biological interpretability. To qualify as a biomarker, an attribute should be not only measurable and comparable, but also reflective of the underlying anatomy or physiology. So this class of biomarkers directly capture the physiological properties, and this has a role in the study of gliomas. Once we know what the features are, we need to know which of them are the most representative that can be used to construct models. Building machine learning models based on radiomics is dividing the data by selecting the most discriminative using statistical models. These models are defined according to labels, for example, high-grade versus low-grade gliomas, or good prognosis versus bad prognosis. And in general, these approaches can be done supervised or unsupervised depending if the labels are known. We should be aware that an exclusive radiomic analysis without biopsy proven nowadays is not robust enough for definitive assessment of gene expression. Radiomic or radionomic approach only reveals the correlation between the features and the genetic information. So these studies usually incorporate tissue sampling or gene sequences in order to provide confirmatory information. Now, let's move to the second part, which are the application in the diagnosis field, in the prognosis, and in application in personal therapy. In the following slides, I will speak about the applications in the diagnostic field relating to the mutation status, differentiating tumor based on texture analysis, and differentiating effects and treatment effects and tumor recurrence. Molecular mutations are determined using invasive methods by obtaining tissue samples, so developing an alternative method to non-invasively classify gliomas using imaging techniques and machine learning models is a promising body of research in gliomas. These two papers represent an sample of the steps towards a non-invasively classified of gliomas based on the IDH mutation, for example. This group used multiparametric MRI to define several characteristics, for example, well-defined border or the lack of enhancement, and they found that they are independent predictors of the IDH mutation. In another study, Esbud et al. Demonstrate that higher values of the size ratio between the enhancing tumor and the necrotic area were the diagnosis for IDH wild-type status. So texture analysis directly capture the heterogeneity of brain tumors, and many texture analyses have been used to distinguish low-grade from high-grade gliomas or high-grade gliomas from different kinds of tumors. For example, Skogen et al. Used filtration histogram technique for characterizing tumor heterogeneity to distinguish low-grade from high-grade gliomas. And for example, Su et al. Used MRI radiomic-based machine learning algorithms in differentiating CNS lymphoma from glioblastoma, and they obtained high accuracy. Differentiating tumor recurrence from treatment-related effects is a significant issue and a major challenge in neuro-oncology, as Dr. Suarez will speak about in a few minutes. Radiomics has also a role in this, and for example, Park et al. Used multiparametric MRI radiomics with diffusion and perfusion to identify tumor recurrence following 3 months after standard therapy. They built and validated a model using T1 with contrast, FLAIR, and ADC and CVV maps, and they found that this model has best diagnostic performance over any single imaging technique or parameter model. In another study, Zhang et al. Published a combination of deep and handcrafted features extracted from multimodality MRI to classify glioma recurrence versus necrosis. They used multimodality MRI, and they found that they had higher accuracy than any single modality alone. So now moving to the prognostic applications, predicting prognosis performance of brain tumors based on a single biopsy or using imaging alone is very difficult due to the heterogeneity of these tumors. Radiomics could be used in this way, and several groups has proposed an stratification survival groups based on the overall survival or in the progression-free survival rates, both in glioblastomas and in lower-grade gliomas. I am focusing on glioblastoma because GBM is the most common primary brain tumor in adults, and despite the aggressive treatment, the prognosis remains poor, with a median survival of 12 to 14 months. This is in part because this is a genetically heterogeneous disease across patients, tumors, and even within the same tumor. The poor overall prognostication of these tumors is both based on independent risk factors like the histological grade and also in clinical models, for example, being older than 60 or the male gender. Several groups have studied using different imaging techniques, models based on the measurement of the tumor volume or the high dimension, and they have found they have higher predictiveness than any clinical model. Here is an example from our group comparing 3 different measuring methods. In preoperative tumor size estimation in primary glioblastoma, the 3 methods that were used were the 2D diameter, the 3D ellipsoid, and the 3D semi-automatic segmentation method. They all have similar results, and they reveal that due to FLAIR hyperintensity, areas and volumes are independent factors closely associated with the overall survival and the progression-free survival predictions. Massaging groups use radiomic features from conventional and advanced MRI. They evaluate the tumor volume, the angiogenesis, the peritumoral infiltration, and the cell density. They use the support vector machines model to predict the overall survival of gliomas and classify it into long, medium, and short survival. They achieve an 80% accuracy both in the training and the prospective replication cohorts. Moving to the personal therapy, precision medicine aims for a most accurate definition of the diseases in order to obtain personalized and individual management, improving healing chances and reducing the side effects of the treatment. In this part, I am focusing in these 2 applications. As we all know, brain biopsy is an invasive procedure, and it has certain risks and is not always definitive for the diagnosis due to the heterogeneity of the tumors. And apart from the risk, as costs are concerned, in general, the radiomic approach is lower cost compared to biopsy. So these 2 facts could favor a radiomic analysis over brain biopsy in some cases. And even in the future, radiomics might replace brain biopsy in several circumstances, for example, in patients with high anesthetic risk. However, nowadays it's more probable that radiomic studies complement the biopsy information, and these data models enriched by the radiomic information could improve precision medicine. There has been constant interest in the evaluation of the treatment by identifying imaging phenotypes that might predict treatment response. For example, this group used patients with recurrent glioblastoma prior to the angiogenic therapy, and they evaluated MRI and were able to find several patients that would most benefit from treatment with bevacizumab. And just a few words about limitations. As we might notice, radiomics is a new expanding field, still in preclinical exploration stage, with many obstacles to overcome. Despite the clinical interest, the published works in this way has been difficult to replicate and validate, and that suppose limitations in terms of and we are going to speak about the limitation in terms of standardization, robustness, and generalizability. Relating to the standardization, even for the same image, 2 different feature protocols two different compute models can introduce different values of the features, and this is due to the lack of standard definition of the radiomic features, and because the image processing schemes that are needed to compute them are not implemented consistently. As I mentioned before, the preprocessing step is key to minimize this. There are also several initiatives like the IBSI or another open source platform such as PyRadiomics that are working on it. One of the main problems of the clinical adoption of the radiomic approaches is the evaluation of robustness. When we are talking about robustness, two concepts need to be considered, the repeatability and the reproducibility. Repeatability refers to features that remain the same when imaged multiple times in the same subject using the same image acquisition methods. And reproducibility refers to features that remain the same when extracted using different equipment, software, image acquisition settings, or even different operators, being that in the same subject or in different subjects. This is like the internal validity of the test. And about generalizability, it refers to whether the results of the study, the radiomic model in this case, can be applied in different settings or in different populations. It's like the external validity. So in conclusion, after this review, we must remember that images are more than pictures, they are data, and this data can be extracted and analyzed to construct models. Radiomic and radiogenomic association can predict a genotype or identify the biological processes that direct tumor biology. This is important because the actual WHO classification of the CNS tumor emphasizes on molecular markers. And being aware of the current limitation, this has a potential role in the diagnosis of brain tumor, in the evaluation of the prognosis, and even in precision medicine. Muchas gracias.